Right. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Fabric Developer, where Dave and I talks about technology, particularly Fabric. But this time around, it's a bit more interesting, right? So Dave actually took on a challenge to kind of like expand his skills and go into infrastructure. And infrastructure is not a sweet spot for Dave, and like he had to learn a lot of different things. And yeah, we'll be spending the next few minutes to kind of like highlight those key learnings. So over to you, Dave.
Cool. Thank you, MJ. Just to provide a bit of background to this thing. So the original intent actually wasn't to learn infrastructure. The original intent was to actually learn AI, like the new AI stack, prompting, and how to actually apply those, etc., etc. But as I started that journey, it very quickly became apparent that, well, actually, there's a big gap around the infrastructure side of things because it takes effort to actually set things up, making sure that you're setting up the correct environment for the AI infrastructure as well. And when I go through the Microsoft Learn, for example, like and the labs, there's a lot of they provide you with a GitHub repository, and I have to make that work. And then when I try to see what's in there, there's like Bicep is a big part of it, YAML is a big part of it. So just to try to get my head around what's this thing actually about has been a challenge. So I thought, well, I'll take a step back. Actually, I'll spend a bit more time on infrastructure during Christmas, New Year, holidays. And I actually found myself a project, thanks to you to a certain degree as well. We've been talking about, Plausible, deploying like the Plausible community edition onto our own Azure environment. So Plausible is a alternative to Google Analytics to monitor website traffic, and they have a online version, but there's also a community version available as well. So the project is to deploy the community version, and so that we can use it. The part of the plan is later on in our Fabric content, we can actually use some of the web traffic data, maybe for real-time analytics or other things as well. So that's kind of the overall background, and it's been an interesting learning journey as well. Yeah. So just to kind of see the end result here, you can see we're monitoring two sites with Plausible, so Fabric Developer and Nerdy Lads. Fabric Developer, we're obviously a lot more active on this one, and I think a lot of our audience are quite interested in the topic. So there's definitely a lot more traffic here. Hopefully, with the launch of the video on Nerdy Lads today, we'll start to attract a bit more traffic on Nerdy Lads as well. What's interesting is with this information that can actually help us to on like topic selection. We can try different tactics as well, get the feedback, and to improve our content in the long run. So I'm very excited to have this up and running. At one point, I was almost giving up because it was just like it doesn't work. Like there's no help, there's no troubleshoot about what actually went wrong. But yeah, I just with a bit of persistency and just keep trying and wake up the next day, try something different, try an error. So somehow I actually got it to work. So I'm really excited about it. But again, the learning is more about the infrastructure side of things, about Bicep. And so I've actually created a repo for anyone who might be interested in doing Plausible on a community edition on an Azure environment. So you can just you use this repo to actually run it as well. And that's the beauty of infrastructure as code, isn't it? It's like, okay, doesn't matter where you are, like what environment you're using, as long as it's Azure, you run the code, it kind of gives you what you need. And just to quickly run through here, so this is the Bicep file to set up the infrastructure to run a Plausible Community Edition on a Azure virtual machine. But if I look at the code, one of the really cool thing for learning Bicep right now is I can ask, so I use GitHub Copilot. I can ask so many questions to GitHub Copilot, and it will just give me the code. And most of them are actually quite ready to use. So I don't have to come up with the whole thing line by line by myself. It kind of gives me the structure to actually just adopt it. Okay, I need a network security group. I need a public IP. I need, the network interface. So, et cetera, right? So this is all provided, and it's all breaking up into really nice chunky components here that I can just go hey, I need all this. Great. I just need to try to figure out how to configure it and put it into the bicep file.
Nice.
So so one of the things, so we're using standard DS1 V2 as the VM size here. This is probably, I think the minimum that's required, just
Yeah.
reading the Plausible documentation. So this thing costs about $50 per month, and it gives me one virtual CPU and 3.5 gig of RAM. So that's great. So I picked it. It seems to be working. And yeah. So, and then after that, obviously, need to try to play around with the data. So with this plausible deployment, there are actually two separate databases. One
Mm.
for on the system side of things, the login and stuff. So that's on a Postgres um, uh, source server, Postgres database. But then the actual events is actually stored in a ClickHouse database. And
Oh,
yeah. So you can see that this is ClickHouse. So the events is in the events table, events v2 table, and that's where it keeps all the website traffics. So we can see, which site it visited, what time, where from, what it's linked in, like the physical location, the country, and what kind of browser settings is the person using. So useful information for us later on. And I will, yeah, I'll probably stop here. And then, because I think the next step is to actually have a separate one to configure Fabric to connect to the data,
yeah.
to actually run some dash reporting out of this one. And maybe after that, the next thing is to get into the real-time analytics, because
Yeah.
I need to figure out how would
Yeah,
this work
maybe
now.
yeah, maybe we need to replace ClickHouse at some point, and like if there's a way to publish the events straight to an event stream.
Yeah, that definitely will be interesting. I'll definitely need your help on that as well. So because I yeah don't know, because there's a feedback component as well. I think we might end up uh because if you look at the front end, it summarizes the data from the ClickHouse DB as well, right? So I don't think we can simply just repoint it to another place. I think maybe in addition to the ClickHouse database, we might need to create a copy of the data into the Event Hub. What do you think?
Um, okay, so just explain it to me again. So the Postgres, what are you storing in Postgres again?
So accounts, right? So I've
Just
got
the
an account.
accounts.
So those kind of system side of things are stored in Postgres, and all the
Yeah.
clicks and events are actually stored in the ClickHouse.
Yeah, you're not ingesting it directly to you're not publishing the events to Fabric. You're just ingesting the
Exactly.
data from ClickHouse and just displaying that. Yep. It's a
Yes.
query rather than an event. Yep.
Yeah. So that's going to be the challenge. And I think I can definitely,
If it's in
you know,
Postgres, it would have been easier because if there's a way to use Postgres instead of ClickHouse, then we can do the real-time intelligence based off a CDC of that Postgres database.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I haven't touched anything on the actual code sitting behind the community edition. So all kind of the infrastructure sits in the container as well, and it's a matter of just deploying that container onto the VM. I have been thinking about creating using Azure Container Service to store our custom version of the community edition,
Yeah, that's
and
easy, man.
then
Yeah, because there's a Docker image, right?
yeah, and then
All right, that's really awesome, Dave. Thanks for showing that up. And yeah, so thanks for watching. There will be a continuation of this on the next episode, so stay tuned. All right,
thanks,
see ya.
MJ. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Yep.